If you are a history lover and you have a few days to spend in the Loire Valley, this is for you. I am going to walk you through what we did in 4 days in this historic and beautiful part of France. And at the end of the video, I will show you also the terrific 1400s castle tower renovated Airbnb that we stayed in. And I'll also include a little bit of maybe what we would have done differently with the 4 days, or what we would have added if we had a few more days worth of extra time. So let's see what we did. We came on a Monday, we arrived by train from Paris, we took an early train out to Blaye, where we picked up an Avis rental car, because we use Avis for all of our rentals. If you are renting in Blaye from Avis, you will need to take a taxi from the train station to the Avis car rental. It is about a mile away. Once we got the car, we drove out through Blaye to Amboise, where we stopped for groceries and some Chateau Tickets at the tourist information office there. And if you've seen our prior itinerary and budgeting videos, you will know that we don't eat out for dinners much when we're in France. We always get a place with a kitchen, and we basically plan to always cook dinner in. And we grabbed tickets at the tourist information office here just because sometimes you can save a little money by buying combo tickets as a package deal. And it's just nice to have the ticket in hand when you arrive to the chateaus and the things you're wanting to visit. You don't need to get in the ticket purchasing line. You just walk up to basically the turnstile and hand them your ticket and get right in. So we got all that taken care of, and we were staying about 12 minutes out of Amboise. So we went out to the Airbnb, got settled in, got unpacked, and then we actually went back into Amboise and did kind of a ramble around the old part of Amboise, which is gorgeous, historic, medieval, beautiful streets. We grabbed some souvenirs. I got some beautiful handmade lace and some soaps. We had a terrific lunch at the foot of the chateau, and then we went up into the Chateau of Amboise, which, if you're into history, so much history here, lots to see. And then we walked maybe 10 minutes up the hill to Clos Lucé, which is the last home of Leonardo da Vinci. It's where he lived his last few years and died. And you can see his inventions and his home, his bedroom, tons of stuff to see there. Gorgeous property. And we wrapped up that day and went back and had dinner at the B&B. And then Tuesday, the next morning, we got up fairly early, drove about 20-25 minutes out to Chenonceau, which is one of my top, I would say, top 3 places to see in the Loire. Gorgeous, historic chateau, one of the most beautiful places you'll ever see. Awesome gardens, tons of history, just an absolutely charming place. There's parking that is free, but there is a bit of a hike in from the parking area into the chateau itself, and I believe there is a cafe there on site, although we did not eat there. From Chenonceau, we continued on another maybe hour to Chambord and paid, I believe we paid, it may have been free parking, a little bit of a longish walk here from the parking into the chateau as well, but of course Chambord is probably the #1 chateau to see in the Loire because it's just so grand. But if you are into history, I found, as a history nut, I found Chambord to be I won't say the most boring, but it has less history to it as far as what I was interested in. But it's gorgeous, you can't miss it. It is a little emptier. It felt a little emptier. I don't know how to describe that, but it's gorgeous and you shouldn't miss it. And then on Wednesday, the next morning, we got up early and went into Blaye and just walked around the old part of the town, and it was before anything was open that morning, so everything was quiet. We had the streets pretty much to ourselves, which was lovely. And then this is another very historic chateau and town. Blaye is a can't miss for history, especially tons of history. And if you're into architecture, you will see 4 different types of architecture in the one building of the chateau. And it also has something I did not know even at the time. It has one of France's best museums. So Blaye could be its own whole day. You could spend a full day just in the town and the chateau. We wandered around in the town until a coffee shop opened up. We grabbed a quick bite to eat, and then we actually headed out about another hour to Valence, which is like a mecca for gardeners. If you love to garden, do not miss. That would be a #1 stop, is Valence. It's one of the most beautiful gardens in the world. We had a paid entry ticket, so we got right in. We didn't go into the chateau because the gardens are the star attraction here. But if you have time, I would definitely go into the chateau. There's not as much history there, but you can see the view from above. You can see the gardens from the tower of the chateau. And there is a cafe right outside the chateau, so we grabbed a lunch there. And I did notice a high quantity of cyclists, so it's probably one of the best places to bike is in and around Valence. Thursday morning, we got up early and drove an hour into Shinon. We were hoping to actually go to the Thursday market there, but we did not get down into the village. We parked up above the fortress. There was a free parking lot, but it was already full, so we actually just parked kind of by a coffee shop and walked down to the fortress. And tons of history again. If you're into Plantagenet history, Joan of Arc history, French history, can't miss. Chinon is a can't miss, and they have actually added some really cool updates to it since we were there in 2022. So don't miss Chinon, and I would love to hear about it if anybody's been down into the village and seen the market there, because we missed it. But if you're up at the fortress level, there is an elevator that you can take down to the village level, or you can take it up to the fortress, so you can do either way there. After Chinon, we drove about 25 minutes on to the amazing abbey at Fontevre, which is, it feels pretty remote, but if you are into French history and Plantagenet history, this is probably my number one for Plantagenet history fans. This is where Eleanor of Aquitaine retired and died, and you can see the effigies, and they are gorgeous and in such great shape. You can see the effigies of her husband Henry II, Richard the Lionheart, Isabella of Angoulême. It's a gorgeous spot. We got tickets ahead, but definitely check if they're open before you go, because it's an abbey, there may be some times where they have Catholic holidays where it's not open, so definitely check that if you want to go. There is free parking just outside the village, and you walk in. There is a small cafe on the grounds. We just grabbed a coffee while we were there, just because we had packed a picnic that day, and we actually drove back along the Loire on the way home and had a late lunch just sitting on a bench by the river. And then we came back to our B&B, which is this lovely tower, and this was the most magical little spot. And the only thing I would say, if you have problems with stairs, or if you carry a lot of luggage, I would definitely not look into this one, but it's a perfect location. It had a great view, quiet, easy to find, lovely family. The only drawback is the stairs up there's quite a bit of steps going up into the tower, and the stairs within the B&B itself up to the bedroom level upstairs is more of a ladder. And even our carry-on luggage, it was interesting to get it up and down that stair situation. So, but it was from the 1400s. It's part of an old castle that no longer exists, and it belonged to somebody, Louis XIV's finance minister or something cool. But it was just a gorgeous spot. And Amboise is definitely a great spot as a home base if you're in the Loire. Everywhere we went on this trip was about an hour. No, nothing was more than an hour from where we were staying, so if I had to pick a central location to see all of the things in the Loire, I would definitely look at the area around Amboise or Mont-Louis-sur-Loire. The next day was Friday, so we returned the car and we took a train back to Paris and spent the weekend there. But if you have more than 4 days in the Loire, here are some things we would have added or changed if we had a little more time. First of all, if you are a history freak like me and you love Eleanor of Aquitaine especially, and you are going to Shinon and Fontevre, which you must, do not miss the chapel. It's called the Chapelle de Radegone. It's about 6 minutes from Shinon, and it's a little bit of a hike up to this chapel. And double check if it's open, because it was closed when we were there and we missed it. But it has a mural that is famous for being possibly the only contemporary painting of Eleanor of Aquitaine done in her lifetime. It's her, and arguments abound about who's with her in the painting. I like to think it's some of her family, her children and her grandchildren, but there's all kinds of theories, and I don't think we'll ever know, but don't miss that. You can also rent at different times of the year kayaks, canoes, etc. to paddle on the Loire or the Cher River, and we had wanted to do that at Chenonceau because that would be magical, but it wasn't available when we were there. So if you love to kayak, there's a lot of that to do. Also cycling, you can rent bicycles, and there is a dedicated bike path that runs along the river from Amboise to Chenonceau. I believe it's a loop, and that would be super cool if you're into cycling. Also, of course, the Loire is famous for wineries and vineyards, and that's a whole other trip. You could easily burn up weeks in the Loire, but if you're into just historical things, these 4 days were what we focused on. These are some of the ones that were on our wish list, but we did not have time to see. We wanted to see Azay-le-Rideau. I would have loved to see Saumur, and the Chateau de Chaumont, and the last one would have been probably Langeais. We missed those, but let us know if you're planning a trip out there. We'd love to hear about it in the comments, as always, and I will post links to the B&B that we stayed in, as well as my itinerary planning and our Loire Valley playlist. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.